The Caleuche, from Mapudung and Caleuche, transform, barter, and che, people, transformed people, also called art ship, ship and che, ghost ship or ship of the witches, is a legendary ghost ship from the mythology of Chiloé in the south from Chile, origin of the legend and versions. The legend of the Caleuche is related to many aspects of the history and beliefs of the Chiloé archipelago. In the book on the mythology of Chiloé, by the author Renato Cardenas, a compilation of stories, legends and magical beliefs obtained from oral tradition, the Caleuche is the sailor, the art ship, the fire ship, the barcoche, are all the names Taboicos given to the Caleuche, that wonderful boat that carries music and light through the numerous Chilote canals. Certain conditions, such as foggy days, make it possible to see or feel it, chain noises, partying, music and a masterful performance. Figure of school ship, make it unmistakable. For some it is a disembodied vision and can pass through another boat. Others point out that they have even been to parties inside it. It is said that the Caleuche provides merchandise as a reward to certain people who have boarded it. Thus the locals explain the rapid emergence of some merchants who are not seen buying anything and prosper quickly. These protected by the Caleuche generally have chickens, black and tarred boats with coleneja ropes. The Caleuche can disappear and adopt the forms it wishes to avoid being seen, and the sailors can transform into wolves or cabueles, also known as dolphins. Another quality is the extraordinary speed it reaches. To observe it and not be seen, you have to put a grass blanket in your mouth, because the first thing they feel is your breath. There are also some trees behind which one can hide so as not to be carried away by the Caleuche, among them the maki and the ticket. People are afraid of being carried away by the art ship, so it never hurts to take precautions. Many think that the sailors of this ship have one leg attached to their spine, just like the Mbunch. However, others describe them as very well-presented people, with special clothes, and when greeting them one squeezes a very cold hand. In general they are correct in their treatment, and with the help of their sea collaborators they pick up the shipwrecked. Some think that its final port is the city of the Caesars, a marvelous place located somewhere in the Andes mountain range and where its residents live forever. When sailing you have to do it with respect. The Chilote sailors recommend, you should not sing, whistle, or make a mess. This angers the Caleuche and perhaps what result it can bring about. Among the various hypotheses that have been proposed for the origin of the legend, it is suggested that it may be a readaptation of the European legend of the ghost ship known as the Flying Dutchman. It has also been argued that it was based on real events, such as the disappearance of the Dutch ship, the Caleuche, or the mysterious disappearances of Spanish expeditions to the Strait of Magellan. Another possibility is that the legend is based on the arrival in the archipelago of privateer ships, including the one led by Balthasar de Cordes, a 17th-century Dutch sailor, explorer and privateer, an expedition that captured the island for a brief period in 1600. Another interpretation holds that it was originally just an invention to hide smuggling operations in the Chiloé archipelago. There are those who also relate its origin to the phenomenon of osness or unidentified submersible objects. In short, there are several versions that complement each other and sometimes differ to a greater or lesser extent in detail. However, what they all point out is that it would be a ship that can appear or disappear in the middle of the night, and that it would be dangerous to meet this mythical ship. The most accepted theory indicates that it is a ship that collects the dead and they live forever in it, surrounded by parties and celebrations. Magic ship, home of the dead at sea. A popular version says that this ship collects the dead from the waters and gives them a new life on board, as crew members who will spend eternity in parties and celebrations. A magical ship, which was created by the Mililobo for the Pincola and his brothers, with the aim that they can fulfill this purpose. Cursed ship of slave sailors and fishermen. Another version tells that the mythical ship would also appear in the seas of Chiloé to captivate the fishermen with wonderful music, and thus attract them to turn them into slave crew members who would be cursed for all eternity carrying one leg folded over their backs, in a similar way, to the Imbunch, in order to use them as eternal servants of his crew. Magical transport ship for the sorcerers of Chiloé. As widespread as the idea that it is a ship of the dead and of slave sailors, there is the version that it would also be a magical ship, in which the sorcerers of Chiloé hold their parties and transport the merchandise. After this trip, witches return from a trip that they do every 3 months to improve their magical abilities. However, it is said that only witches can board it, and only using the Chilote seahorse as a means of transportation, since by orders of the Mililobo, it is forbidden for other beings to board it or to access the ship by other means. Magical smuggling boat. There is also the belief that the crew of the Caleuche make magical pacts with certain merchants, assuring them material prosperity in exchange for keeping the secret, doing them certain favors or services, such as lending their houses for the boat parties and other dark illegal purposes. When a person in Chilo quickly accumulated a fortune, it was rumored among his neighbors that it was because he had relationships with crew members of the Caleuche or with the sorcerers. These stories increased in the days that followed the 1960 earthquake because some of those houses were left untouched by the fires that swept through the port of Castro. In that same decade, the time of the free port, it was said that near the houses of prosperous merchants of the Chiloé archipelago, on many nights noises of chains were heard as if a ship were anchoring. It was explained that it was the Caleuche that was disembarking furtively on the beach large merchandise or treasures, although many did not believe this supernatural explanation and preferred to look for the cause in earthly smugglers. This story was so widely disseminated that even today it is suspected when a recently successful merchant received news of the sinking of a boat that had one of his relatives on board a short time before. The reason is that it is said that his relative has been safe and secure aboard the Caleuche and that a deal has been made with the sorcerers. It is said that so much wealth is due to the fact that the people who are on board the Caleuche, on the trips that this magical ship would make, would be taken to visit fantastic cities that are installed at the bottom of the sea, and that the locations would also be revealed to them of the great treasures hidden in the sea, and that his crew knows the way to the city of the Caesars. In this way, the sorcerers would allow them to enjoy a small portion of these treasures and, if they are alive, also return to their home, but with the threatening condition that they have to make some kind of deal with them and that they must keep those secrets until death. If the deal is not respected, they would expose themselves to severe punishment. Being magical conscious. There is also a version that indicates that the Caleuche would really be a being created and endowed with conscience, and that explains its evil behavior as a desire for revenge. According to this interpretation of the story, the Caleuche was originally just a ghost ship, but the Mililobo would have given it the gift of consciousness and great powers, with the aim of the Caleuche acting as the place of permanence for the souls of the deceased that the sea produces and that are rescued by the children of the Mililobo. It is said that shortly after his transformation, he had a sea wolf as a partner. The Caleuche was happy with his partner, with whom he swam transformed into a large sea lion. But one day he was cruelly killed by some fishermen on Tenglo Island, off Puerto Montt. Upon learning of the death of his beloved, the very angry Caleuche would have sworn revenge on every living human being. It is said that for this reason, Puerto Montt would have commanded great evils, such as some eruptions of the Calbuco volcano, some fires that consumed property, and even the theft of the most beautiful woman in the port. Likewise, this fact would have been the reason for his oath to attract all the sailors and fishermen he finds to be the slaves of his crew, and the reason that he would also have agreed to help the sorcerers of Chiloé by transporting them. But despite all this, must continue to fulfill the sacred mandate of the Milolobo.
Además,
In addition to luring sailors to be his slaves, it is said that he has the magical ability to punish those who look at him that he cannot catch, using his power to deform the unfortunate who sees him without permission by turning their face upwards, his back, and leaving his mouth crooked, or giving him sudden death or insanity. Thus it is said that the person who wants to look at the Caleuche and not suffer the magical punishment, must ensure that the ship and its crew do not realize their audacity. Well friends, this was the legend of the Caleuche. I hope you liked it. I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Activate the bell so that you receive notifications for the next video. Thank you very much.